Welcome to the future. Welcome to Bitcoin, Bit2Me April. How are you all? Good afternoon on this 5th of May in the year 2025. Well, another month. Delighted to share this time with you. We recently did the show with Esmeralda, and it was really entertaining. We can see all of you live in the chat. Roberto, who already has some interesting comments, which we will discuss later with Giovanni. Crypto Stars, Jordi, Elvi, of course, never misses. We've already greeted you. Good afternoon, Elvi. And of course, joining us as every month. And this time, yes, Giovanni, we missed you a lot in that show with Esmeralda, which was great, and you helped organize, right? So we're delighted that you're here. How's everything going?
How's it going, Javi? Honestly, very well. We have many very interesting things. In fact, soon we will also have the chance to meet in person with many people from the community, both those who usually attend the events and new people whom we invite to the events we hold in person, and even the online ones like this. Thank you very much. Welcome to everyone. And yes, we will, as always, be gathering some of the questions left in the chat. There's no need to turn it into spam because we will, as much as possible, try to answer everything. So thank you very much to everyone for participating.
Well, as we were saying before, as always, right? To do, well, an intro, to give a little overview of what's happening in the sector, to give you some updates, news. You know, I always focus on Bitcoin, but, well, we'll also touch on, of course, the rest of the market, the altcoins, right? The rest of the cryptocurrencies, what's happening with all of them. Well, before anything else, as I always do, set a global framework of where we are. Although here in Spain, for those of you watching from Latin America, you already know that last week we had a blackout here, and well, it was also discussed by the entire crypto community. And there's one analysis that has been done, which I find super interesting because, well, I don't have in-depth knowledge, much less about everything related to energy or what happened, right? But apparently there was a frequency imbalance in the grid, and it became a bit unstable due to the energy sources used to provide energy, right? Or what in the supply electricity to the entire Iberian Peninsula, right? And that part of southern France. So what happened? That imbalance was basically due, apparently, to the fact that renewable energies, wind and solar, are very difficult to stabilize. So there have been comments within the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. You know that Bitcoin uses a system of consensus called proof of work, which uses energy, right? Electricity that powers those machines. And in the state of Texas, in the United States, it has been used for a couple of years, more or less intensively, right? On a massive scale. And why is it important to bring this up now and discuss it? Because here in Spain, we are making a call, right? An announcement from Bit2Me. Also to companies generating renewable and non-renewable energy. That Bitcoin is an opportunity. It is an energy driver. Bitcoin mining allows you to use it as a battery. It allows you to buy and stabilize, right? That supply that at a given moment is poured into the market and needs to be connected with demand. So, well, this is one more utility. This is a use, I believe, super important that this new technology has, which also impacts the energy world, not only in the investment world, not only in the monetary world, not only in the philosophical and freedom world, but also in the energy world. I mean, it's a real madness. And why is it an energy driver? Because energy, as you know, for example, wind or solar, which is predominant here in Spain, is very difficult to store and also has peaks, right? There are times when there is sun and times when there is no sun, it's night, or there is wind or there is no wind. And that causes very significant variations. So what happens? With Bitcoin, what you can guarantee is the prior purchase, the use of that energy by contract with those generators, with those companies that are using these sources to generate energy. So, there has been, a point that I think is interesting, which connects with this whole blackout issue. So from here, from Bit2Me Live, from Bit2Me, we also send a message to the energy world to understand why Bitcoin can be a complement. I'm not saying it's a solution, but it can be a complement that works like a battery, that works like a cell, that you can turn on and off and buy energy in advance to make it more stable, or to be able to predict with more time what is going to happen. And having said this, I had to talk about the blackout because we have all experienced it, and it's something that has affected us all, and I think it's interesting. Well, let's go a little into the numbers. I have sent you, Jose, several graphs through the group. The first one, which would be, to see the evolution of Bitcoin in the lows it has been making year after year, right? Because many times we focus on the graph, we look at it in the all-time high or the highest it has reached each year. But if you look at this other graph and we go to the lows that Bitcoin has had each year, we also see a trend that is very clear, right? The low of this year, as you already know, since the beginning of 2025 has been $75,000, which we reached about, roughly last month, right? We were quite a bit lower, and there has been a very significant recovery since things have calmed down, since the whole issue of Trump's tariffs on April 2nd has taken a back seat. What we see is that the market is regaining confidence, not only in Bitcoin, but in cryptocurrencies in general, some more than others, as you already know. I always talk about Bitcoin's dominance. And how? There is a tweet I posted the other day that was controversial, because I have nothing against other cryptocurrencies, but I wrote, everything will go to zero against Bitcoin. And that is mathematically possible to happen. Why? Because the number of units or the value proposition that the rest of the assets have, the rest of the cryptocurrencies, real estate, gold, stocks, public debt, everything is, it's not mathematically certain that there will be a single unit. Therefore, if you measure something that is uncertain in its quantity, and there can be more, for example, we can build more houses, or in the future, humanity can develop a more efficient housing construction system where more people can fit and the problem is solved. Or yesterday I read that I had an exchange of opinions with Golden and Silver Dragon, who is a gold enthusiast, right? And apparently they said they had discovered a plant, a type of geranium that you could plant in your house and it would give you gold, physical gold. But that was a joke because we compared it to quantum computing, right? There's a lot of talk about the threat to Bitcoin from quantum computing, which if you study it in depth, you see that we are still very far from that and that it has a solution. And we would be talking about a plant that is capable of generating gold, right? So what I mean is that gold does not have a determined supply. We don't know how much will exist or how much is already available on planet Earth. And despite the fact that central banks, in this moment of global uncertainty, of profound transformation, because I really like, apart from Spain, to see what's happening in China, to see what's happening in the United States, in England, in Latin America. And we are I think you all have the same feeling. We are in a decline. We are at a peak that we reached, I believe, in the year 2001, 2008, during the Lehman Brothers crisis. And since then, we have been going downward. The institutions, the authorities. I was also listening to a podcast, which I recommend to you, by Juan Ramon Rallo and Hector Chamizo, where they talked a bit about the disruption or the changes in authority between the traditional media and the new media, which are social networks. And I think the same thing is going to happen to the banking, financial, and monetary system. There won't be such a large loss of confidence because the information we can access is much richer, much broader, much better. So people will look for alternatives, where to position, where to save their wealth, right? And in this case, Bitcoin, as I say, against the rest of cryptocurrencies, against the rest of assets, I think it will be the winner because of everything that is being built. So I understand that there are people who want to buy or who buy XRP, which, by the way, we've put XRP with staking on Bit2Me April, which, hey, is fantastic. But I think in the medium and long term, the winner will be this one, right? That's why I'm a bit persistent with Bitcoin. So, going back to the chart here, what you clearly see is what's happening in the next one, Jose, which I shared with you about the trend, the movement that the funds are making. In this case, BlackRock. Well, of course, if you look from January 11, 2024, a year, and 4 months ago, more or less, how many Bitcoins they have accumulated. We are already talking about this fund alone, which, yes, is the largest fund in the world, having purchased on behalf of its clients more than 613,600 Bitcoins, right? This, from an investment perspective, should set off a tremendous alert for us. Why? Because even though the ETF is approved, what I can tell you is that there are many pension funds, hedge funds, banks, and other types of institutions that still, despite having accumulated 613,000 Bitcoins over this year and 4 months, are not yet buying. And that means that you, who are listening to Bit2Me Live and everyone in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ecosystem, have arrived before the big players to a deeply disruptive technology, and also with the potential to absorb the savings that are currently located in other types of gigantic assets. That's why I want to, and always insist on this. I understand, well, those who don't, I mean, if there are people who say, hey, I like to hear about Cardano or XRP, well, that's fine, but I can't miss the mark because this is so important. What's happening with this technology is so significant, and it's not happening with the others, no matter how much they sell us at a certain moment that it has a certificate of this or that. I have to tell you how I feel, and I hope I'm not wrong. Obviously, this is not investment advice. And finally, so I don't go on too much, Giovanni, because otherwise I'll get sidetracked. We have the third graph, which is the graph that compares two things, right? There you have the orange line and the blue line. What does the orange line indicate? It marks the overall liquidity of M2. What is the liquidity of M2? It's the issuance. It's, yes, the issuance. It's the release of new currency, new monetary mass into the system. And here it combines all the central banks. It combines the European Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, the Central Bank of China, the Bank of Japan, etc., etc. So what happens? That Bitcoin reacts. It has like a delay, a gap of about 60, 90 days, right? To the issuance of new money, because that new money that is issued into the system goes to different places. And eventually, a part of that new money ends up in Bitcoin. So if you look at the blue line, it shows a very high correlation with the liquidity that exists on the planet. And what we've seen in recent months is that there has been a massive explosion of liquidity. And what has Bitcoin done, as you can see, since last month when it was at 80,000? Well, it has had a significant rise. It has tested the 98. And what do we have now in the short term? Now in the short term, what we have is a gap, which is located around 92. So this is a CME gap, okay? And this is basically, within the trading world, there are small gaps at certain prices because Bitcoin trades in these markets from Monday to Friday, even though the Bitcoin market is open 7 days a week, maybe 24 hours, and those gaps tend to close. And this gap is between $91,000 and $92,000, okay? So in principle, and this is not investment advice, nor does it have to repeat or necessarily happen, but historically, in 90% of cases, when a gap has occurred over the weekend, a price jump, a liquidity void, investors, traders, the market participants have tended to close it. That's why someone might see it going down now and say, hey, what's happening? Well, one of the reasons is that liquidity that wants to be closed in that gap. And well, this is a little bit of what we have. As always, Giovanni Tadeopoulos. As an introduction, I don't know if you want us to put up a poll so people can give their opinion. If you think we're going to 90,000 first, or if we're going to 100,000, or if we're going to be hovering for a month or two in this range between 92 and 98. If we put it there in the YouTube chat, you can answer.
Excellent. In fact, Javi, we are actually quite aligned with the community. Some of the comments that were being made, for example, Roberto suggested Bit2Me to mine her Bitcoin. Even though it might seem like a crazy idea, remember that we have the possibility of Bit2Me feedback and launching that proposal with the support of the community, so they can vote, they can comment. Sometimes even an idea that one seems not to fit can be aligned by everyone. to improve it or create a completely different one. Then on the other hand, Javier Arroyo was saying, he said, I don't know whether to put solar panels or miners on the roof anymore. And someone also comments saying, well, both things, Jordi tells us. Then Gabriel also commented to us and said, today I saw a short from Michael Saylor. He said that BTC would be the least of our problems with quantum computing. How would it be how would the current world be if the current cryptography is broken? So that is to say, it's really quite interesting. These are quite interesting topics. We even have articles based on precisely on those questions we ask ourselves every day in Bit2Me Academy. So take advantage of that as well. We even have courses. And on the other hand, I repeat, again, we will leave some of the questions for the end. They are talking to us about burns, about redemptions. So we have been gathering those types of questions to address them about the magic, to try as much as possible to follow our outline, Javi.
Well, no, of course. The only thing, the topic of quantum computing, Giovanni, which is a recurring topic that comes up, and it's true that Bitcoin, look, I saw a video earlier that it made me envious. It made me feel a healthy envy of a school in El Salvador, where they were teaching children in school with the computer about public addresses, how they are created with the elliptic curve, right? Which is a tool that, well, is part of the wallets of the public addresses that Bitcoin has and how they are created. And I say, damn, here in Spain, how I would love it if instead of doing the things we are doing, right, at many times and upset, well, with many things, we were in schools teaching a technology, and part of it, well, that quantum computing that Giovanni mentions, which is not a threat to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin could have a software update with an appropriate cryptography system. Because what you say is true, what this person from the audience says is correct. If quantum computing ever arrives, Giovanni, Bitcoin is the least of our problems, because nuclear codes, which, yes, then have other security systems, even in the physical world and so on, or our bank accounts. I mean, banks use cryptography, which if you have quantum computing is attackable. It's like the blackout. You say, damn, the blackout, you realize the vulnerability we all have in an environment where there is no electricity or communication. Well, quantum computing wouldn't be a Bitcoin problem. Just like in a blackout, it's not Bitcoin. As many people say, no, it's that in a blackout, Bitcoin doesn't work. Damn, in a blackout, nothing works. So, of course, we would be talking about a world.
That being said, we know there are other alternatives, even being able to transmit it through radio waves via satellite.
The thing is, Giovanni, you need to know, because you have to have technical knowledge. I understand that if such a situation arises, there would be a lot of people, maybe because I haven't made any transactions via radio using systems that I know can be used, but I'm sure that those of you watching the program live, unless there's someone here who is a technology enthusiast, probably haven't made those kinds of transactions either. But what you're saying is true. It can be done. Of course, that's precisely where the fact that these possibilities exist comes into play. And as I always mention, Bit2Me is a great entry point precisely to then, from that starting point, which is a positive experience, to be able to see other self-custody possibilities like we do with physical money, so to speak. We have some money in the bank account. Another part we have on the card in cash. But let me ask you, Giovanni, I'm going to throw the question at you. You've been doing this for a while. We've been doing this for quite a few years. There are many people in the chat who know us. If you had to tell someone new or the people in the audience right now, why you buy Bitcoin? Why do you do it?
The answer is quite simple. It's because it allows me to live in crypto. The reality is that it's no longer a trend. Now, as you were mentioning, the companies, investment funds, institutions have come into play, and we have a lot of tools to use it in our daily lives, for example, with daily payments. Even now.
But when you say some people were tell me, when you say it allows you to live, someone might say, yeah, well, but you can live with euros, Giovanni, just the same. Why do you want to have Bitcoin?
For that, one, as a store of value on one hand, and it's not just about saving, which in fact, at a certain point has even allowed me, for example, to use For instance, the topic of loans, which we also have here at Bit2Me. That is to say, if I need liquidity at a certain moment, it also gives me the possibility to put them to work to generate certain returns. So it's something that allows me to do things that I didn't have the possibility to do until now. You also remember that we didn't even have the possibility to store it securely and easily, because it was something that required us to do a lot of things. And even when we had to explain it, it was quite frustrating for some people because they didn't see it as easy. Now it's easy. It's quite secure, and we have many tools to use them, as I said, in daily life or even in the long term. Whether it's because you need a loan or because you want to use it to buy something somewhere, even to transfer that value. When I've traveled to other countries, I haven't had any problems, even sometimes paying directly with cryptocurrencies. Obviously, we always try to avoid it.
Which is something I'd also like to know, right? From the people who are with us with Bit2Me, who have been around for a while, who watch these programs, who are interested. They are also obviously asking about B2M, whether we are going to list it on other platforms, etc., etc. But we would like to know, now that you are live, why you decide to buy Bitcoin at a certain moment. What makes you click to say, I take the step? Because it must have happened to you, just like it happens to Giovanni, to me, and to Jose. Every time we try to explain it to someone new, despite the price being where it is, which is something incredible, right? Those of us who have been around for a while and have seen it at 10,000, at 15,000, we say, oh my God, if I had only known. But well, we also thought about it. We believed it. But you, of course, when you explain it to people, what difficulties do you encounter, or what made you click to start buying Bitcoin? Is it just the investment part, making money, the freedom part, the part Giovanni explained? I don't know. Let us know in the comments.
Javi, taking advantage of that precisely, as we always get the comment, the typical one. For example, Chui13 tells us, don't you think you focus too much on Bitcoin and neglect something like the B2M token? Super, super, super easy. Why? Look, first, Bitcoin is what it is. You've mentioned it many times. Now, if you are operating on Bit2Me, by pure logic, in one way or another, you will start accumulating B2M. That is B2M. It will give you the opportunity to rise, that is, increase the points and rise in levels. And that's precisely where B2M comes into play. We always suggest and explain about Bitcoin. And then if you operate in B2M, in Bit2Me, that's where B2M comes into play. In fact, it gives you many options. So why don't we talk about other projects like you were saying about Cardano, etc.? Because these are indeed projects. That's where each person in one way or another should be concerned with it, clearly tracking each project to increase risk, to change strategy, etc.
I would also tell you, Giovanni, let's see, we have done programs dedicated to B2M. Obviously, it's the platform's token. We are super proud to have innovated with a technology that provides all the utilities and gives you a series of advantages that have been developed with a lot of work, with a lot of ingenuity within the platform. And that has a utility. I mean, the token has a real utility. That when you buy it to have a real utility. The speculation part is the which I think there are still many people driven or who understand that we have to sell the idea that people should buy the B2M token. I believe that the B2M token doesn't need to be sold. It should be bought if one believes it will provide a series of benefits, a series of advantages within Bit2Me. And that's what has been worked on since the launch, right? So obviously we have done programs where nil has come. The new services have been explained. A staking program has been done with terms of 3, 6, 12 months with a higher bonus. You are being given the referral commissions. They are being delivered to you in B2M. You are receiving the cash back from the cards in B2M. Therefore, there is an ecosystem and a dynamic within the platform. Now, for the price to rise, it will depend on demand. It will also depend on us perhaps making it known in a more effective way, right? Through social media, through this type of content. But we cannot recommend people to buy either Bitcoin, not even Bitcoin. When I talk about Bitcoin, I say, hey, this is not investment advice. Now, you see the company's trajectory, you see the trajectory of the platform services, and you say, damn, well, if I have this token and I use Bit2Me because I like their services, because I believe they provide value to me as a user, then I'm going to use it. And that will make the price develop naturally. But I think that it's a bit of what we need to understand, because there are people who say, no, if you list it on another platform, surely the price will go up. But that's because you're thinking about buying the token only for the price. And that's the mistake. That's the mistake.
Of course, that's why, in fact, we don't say it won't be listed on other exchanges. It's just that our focus is always some important pillars, but providing real utilities because we have them from an impressive variety. That said, we are always open. Hey, do you think B2M could have another utility? Okay, tell us about it. Let us know what you think this could have as a utility. And also, as I was saying, there's Bitcoin, and then taking advantage of the entire Bit2Me ecosystem with B2M. So basically, it's not even about saying you should buy B2M. It's that in one way or another, you're using them. And in fact, everything we provide, both the cashback, the percentage we receive from staking, the referrals, is bought on the market, meaning we already have a completely integrated ecosystem. That said, little by little, we are adding other utilities, even external ones, as has been the case with Polykasba, meaning that it also allows you to receive cashback in B2M with other platforms. So we encourage precisely that. As we are doing today, we are also going to talk about the burns, about the redemptions, which is Space Center, where the B2M part plays a significant role, which is the core of a Bit2Me, and in one way or another, it will also be used in other services or from the Bit2Me group.
Correct. That's kind of the idea. So just as we don't talk about other cryptocurrencies, we don't either. But I think we give B2M much more space, and within the platform, as Giovanni says, right? Much more interaction. So it has a specific utility and improvement, but well.
And not less important, Javi, in fact, as you mentioned, we do specials. In fact, soon you should come again to give us an update, the data, the upcoming developments, what has been done and what we are doing. So in fact, we even do an exclusive program for it. Here we review everything we have done, the promotions. In fact, we also have a promotion that we will announce shortly, which is the B2M Holder Week, where what you are going to mention also comes into play. See? The Bit2Me Pro, or our advanced trading.
Yes, but before that, otherwise Jose is going to tell us, hey, today you are jumping around a bit. I think we have done quite a complete introduction, right? About current events, about what is happening in the world. I forgot to tell you about the creation of 21, Abosao Capital, Diwa, which is a company where Jack Mallers will be the CEO. Tether with Paolo will be involved. And SoftBank will also be part of it, and they want to make an initial purchase of 42,000 Bitcoins, somewhat following the strategy. Michael Saylor's strategy did, which he has had all this time, and today, by the way, every Sunday he posts the chart with the orange dots where he is going to buy. And today, if I'm not mistaken, Giovanni has bought, I had it noted here, but well, about $130 million, around 2,000 Bitcoins. So, well, these are Bitcoins that are leaving the supply and are increasing. But well, let's move on to Bit2Me Tax if you want. Which, for those who don't know it, I'm sure all of you here have heard of it. Bit2Me Tax is a service within the Bit2Me platform, which we are currently highlighting and putting first. Why? Because we are in the period for filing tax returns. And as you know, well, you have operated during the year 2024 within the Bit2Me platform for purchases, sales, exchanges, payments, etc. Bit2Me Tax collects all the information, all the traceability of the purchase, sale, and exchange of the capital gains and losses you may have generated. It generates the tax return form with the fields already filled in, and you can download it directly from your account very easily. It's a PDF that you can give to your tax advisor or directly yourself if you log into the tax agency. If you have the same data and it matches what is in Bit2Me, then you could confirm it. Well, just to let you know that if you haven't downloaded it, it's available. I imagine you know it exists, and well.
In fact, so Guille Vigo says in greetings. For me, your greatest strength is tax, excellent customer service. In fact, what you were mentioning. Also, this year we have added or removed precisely the need to have level 1 of Space Center. That is, it is completely free, totally accessible. So, and we always provide all the activity you've done in Bit2Me through an Excel to use with other resources. But having said that, as you were saying, it's quite easy. Basically, it's copy and paste. Some of us send it directly to our manager, and many times they directly thank us because, and it's practically done. It's copy and paste. Any questions, however, even through Bit2Me Tax, we also have the possibility to schedule with external advisors who will answer more at the specific things, because sometimes there are users who have a very different, very specific operation and need extra support. They can consult through support, and if necessary, they will be referred to one of our external advisors.
Well, yes, correct. Well, I'm withdrawing, Giovanni. What I have in Bit2Me earn, EURC, okay? Which is a stable coin that for those who, well, you are surely familiar. But anyway, within Bit2Me, we have stable coins that must comply with the regulations of the European Union, the European Commission, the MiCA law, where stablecoin issuers, which are these tokens that have a one-to-one parity with the euro or the dollar, like USDT, USDC, EURT, URR, are a series of tokens, well, each with its issuing company, that have had to register in Europe. Those who have not done so, under the criteria required by the European Commission, well, since we are in Spain and within the European Union, we cannot list them, unfortunately, right? Just like some privacy tokens, which I take this opportunity to also give a slap on the wrist to the regulators. Because, as you know, starting from the year 2027, neither Monero, nor Zcash, nor tokens or cryptocurrencies that provide privacy when transferring them will be legal within Europe. Now, I send you a message, right? And hey, I'm doing it from a platform that is obviously going to comply with all the regulations, which is Bit2Me, and we are going to be aligned. But for those who want to use Monero or Zcash, I'm not inviting anyone to do what they shouldn't. But the technology will be there in cyberspace. I mean, the idea that you can't transfer what you want to transfer, as long as you don't commit an illegality, well, that's part of each person's privacy of freedom. But what I want to tell you with this, Giovanni, while I take out the funds and put them in, let's see, I already have it here in the wallet.
In fact, Javi, precisely in line with Bit2Me Tap, where some said we took a long time to launch and so on, something very important, everything we do is in coordination precisely with the regulators. Not necessarily when a regulation comes out, we immediately rush to implement it. No, even so. Instead of just interpreting it, our experts precisely in coordination with the regulators are aligning them precisely to facilitate that. A report like Bit2Me Tap can be used easily and simply and aligned with everything it has, with the updates, which often change on the fly. Go ahead.
I already have it, Jose, but I'll finish with what I was saying about private cryptocurrencies, because it's incredible what we are all, let's say, accepting, right? That they keep taking away our freedoms constantly, in all kinds of personal decisions, because it harms them. And I've seen another video, which I'll also leave you with the idea. The other one is by Juan Ramon Rayo and Hector Chamizo, but another one you have to watch is by Wall Street Wolverine and Ellie, the Frame, who is a girl that worked in banking and tells you a bit about the ins and outs of revolving credit cards, mortgages, and all this stuff. And when the European Commission or the government, which has put people aligned with their agenda into the savings banks, in Bankia, in Bankia, in Caja Madrid, in all these types of banks. And then they've been doing the practices that this girl explains in the Wall Street Wolverine video. One says, but how are you going to tell me how I can use my money, right? Therefore, I insist. You know that we have always given from Bit2Me what we have always wanted. Leif has said it when he has come here, is to create a bridge for freedom. And I like the comments, Giovanni, that people left before, because one of them, Javier, said, I like Bitcoin because every time I use Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, know that I am taking away a little bit of power from them. Well, that's the background of this whole story. It's about regaining control of money, as they are telling us how we can use the fruits of our labor, not allowing us to transfer in the tokens. They don't like us to transfer because they label us as criminals. When we then see in the daily news everything that's happening, it's shameful, everything that's happening. Sorry, I'm really heated, Giovanni, man. Today I'm really fired up. And, well, anyway, I already have the Jose, if you want the chart, we're already seeing it on screen.
Javi, as a preview, there are some users who refer to us about about the prices that on Bit2Me, in fact, they sometimes make the reference incorrectly. B2M is the native token of Bit2Me, and on the other hand, Bit2Me is the platform, the suite of services that is completely comprehensive, as you well know, for users, professionals, companies. And along those lines, we have fees starting from 0%, deep liquidity in almost 300 pairs that we are constantly adding, and even through the loyalty program of Space Center, we offer up to 50% discount. On some occasions, even trading with specifically with stable coins is practically at 0%. So take a look out and clearly differentiate that the Bit2Me wallet is something very different, which is our basic service, so to speak, for buying, selling, and exchanging in a very easy and simple way. It has some fees, including the possibility, the step topic by Poste, but then we have advanced trading, which in that same line, in fact, I wanted to make a point that is, now some users were asking why they couldn't find Bit2Me Pro in the app. And because even in some conversations we've had at some in-person events, they've told us Bit2Me Pro is paid. No, it is not paid. Precisely, it is a completely free and advanced tool that you're going to give us a glimpse of, you're going to show us a bit how it works, no? So thank you, Giovanni.
Sure. What Giovanni is basically saying is that for those of you who say Bit2Me is expensive, now we are going to see the fees, okay? Which are super adjusted. But by using this tool that you have on the screen, which is a tool available both on the mobile phone, in the app, and on the website. And this, what is it called? This is Bit2Me Pro, okay? This is for people who have more advanced knowledge or who want to go a step beyond what they have already used, which is the wallet, which, as Giovanni mentions, has different fees for conducting much more specific concrete operations, and reducing the spread significantly, lowering the commission a lot. So in the menu on the left, both in the app and on the website, you have a drop down. And in that drop down, there's a place that says trading or advanced trading or Bit2Me Pro. If you click there, this window will open for you. In this window, you see here at the bottom left, if you look closely, it says my balance. If I click on my balance, wait, because I'm seeing here the viewer. Now, if I click here to see my balance, down here on the left, all the currencies will appear for me. And up here on the right, before continuing, the fee, the commission that I will pay for, each purchase and each sale appears regardless of the pair I use. And if I click on it, the taker and maker volume will appear. What is the difference between taker and maker? That here you see it has a very low percentage difference, 0.6, 0.5, 0.3, 0.2, etc., etc. I mean, it's very small. Taker basically means that you place an order at a specific moment and you want it to be executed automatically. Therefore, you are not creating a market. What you are doing is executing your order at that moment. Therefore, that has a slightly higher cost, okay? But if you are a market maker, what you do is place an order in the market, in the order book that you saw earlier, which is, well, this here that I'm showing you. This here, which is the order book. When you place an order, your order is added to that order book. So if that is stored there, the system is able to perform calculations both upwards and downwards more easily, and they charge you less, okay? Now you will see it, okay? Automatically what I'm explaining to you. But well, so if I have a balance, if I have money in my Bit2Me account, how do I transfer it to the platform? Well, here where you see search, I click on the currency. I have on the platform in Bitcoin or in euros or whatever it is. I have EURC, which is this one here. Here on the right, I have two blue buttons, one add and another withdraw. I click on the add button. Here it tells me it connects directly. As you can see, there are two tabs, manage balance, add to pro, withdraw from pro. Well, add to pro. What do I want to add? I want to add EURC in pro. From where? From my wallet where I have 100 EURs. I click on maximum, okay? And they are deposited. Add to pro. Then you see that my total balance is added. Balance in orders. Those are the orders I leave on the market to make purchases and sales. Available balance, etc. So with this balance, if I go back to the chart, here you can already see at the bottom left that EURC appears, okay? And if I go here to EURC, all the pairs with the euro will appear, okay? You see Cardano, Atom. If I keep clicking on the chart, you see that it changes. And here you have the time frame of how you are viewing the chart, which is the price quotation over time, which is 4 hours, or I can set it to 1 hour, and then you can move it yourself, right? The visualization with the price in the right column, I simply click with the mouse. If you're on your mobile, you simply open and close to see the visibility, and the same goes for the bottom. You can expand or reduce the time frame, okay? And then, well, there are measurement tools, technical analysis tools, which are more advanced. So if I want to buy at a certain moment, here you have the tool to buy and sell. You see that if I change it, it turns green or red. And here I set the type of order I want to make, limit, market, or stop limit. For those of you who are just starting, I would recommend using limit and market, because stop limit is an advanced trading operation that basically involves opening an order when the price passes a specific point. In other words, until the price reaches a point, you determine that order will not be triggered or entered, okay? Something has to happen in the market at a price you set for that order to open. However, tell me.
A quick response that Hugo is asking us, he says, why can't I short trade in Pro?
Because it is not legal in Spain. The platforms, the cryptocurrency platforms, okay? The cryptocurrency platforms that provide services to Spanish clients, they cannot offer products. They cannot have long or short products, okay? We can't for now. We are working on it, but the CNMV, which is the financial supervisor here in Spain, it does not allow us. They don't allow you. Why? Because it is true that without prior regulation, without a MICE, which is what I mentioned earlier about the European framework, there weren't a series of constant audits where the exchange had to publicly reflect its books to these institutions, to these entities. So what happens? The supervisor says, wow, this has a potential for market manipulation, because what this person is saying is, if I leverage and go short or go long, what I do is multiply my profits. But be careful. You can also multiply your losses. But there's something people don't consider. I'm not in favor of that type of trading. It's my personal opinion. Hey, I respect those who want to do it. Why? Because in the end, who has the information on long and short positions? The exchange has it, the platforms have it, and if they don't have to report to any regulator, they can use it against you. That's why sometimes there are movements and there's talk of market manipulation. Market manipulation often occurs due to the liquidations of that type of position. You open a long or short position and the exchange or platform says, wow, if I make the market fall or rise quickly here, I can liquidate those positions of people who have bet that the price will go up or down and keep their money, okay? So we don't have that because, well, we haven't developed it, and also because the the CNMV here in Spain doesn't allow cryptocurrency broker operators to have it available. If in the future it becomes possible and there's an orderly and legal way to do it, then we will obviously do it. But you should know that those of you who operate in that way in any market, not just in cryptocurrencies, are exposing yourselves to a much higher risk, much higher, okay? It's not like and now cryptocurrencies are volatile. I mean, I want to say for the price of a token to drop 20, 30% or to rise, it's super easy. We see it, well, in charts. Well, look, I won't go any further. Since the 22nd. Look, in the case of, what is this? This is Cardano. Well, from the 9th of last month until now here, I use the ruler and it allows me to see a bit of the well, look, it went up 30, 40% in a matter of 2 weeks. But now it's been, well, in these days, a drop, as you can see here, right? Of 1154. Therefore, these are such large movements that leverage is super risky in this market. That's why the dollar cost average strategy and buying recurrently through the tools we have at Bit2Me, well, I think they are the ideal. But come on, if you like it short or long, well, hey, it's a decision of zero.
Thanks for the answer. It was supposed to be short. We went over time as usual. So go ahead.
Okay, nothing. So I left off here. I left off at buying and selling. In buying and selling, all you have to do is choose the type of purchase. If you set limit means you want to place a buy order at a specific price. That is, I select limit. And here I would enter the price at which I want to buy Cardano. In this case, let's say 0. If right now it's at 57 cents, say, hey, I want to buy it at 52 cents. The amount you want to buy, well, you can enter it in Cardanos or you can enter it in euros. Well, I want to buy 100 euros. Here it will show you the amount of Cardanos that come, the fee that will be charged in Cardanos, which shows you the 0.25, which would be the cost, okay? And you simply click on buy. Then by clicking on buy, an order will be created for you. An order that would be, well, 100 euros, and it will remain here below. Do you see where it says open orders and closed orders? Well, if I click on open orders, the history will remain here for you, okay? And you can place as many as you want, and you can also cancel them. There is a little trash can icon that if you click on it, it deletes the order and it doesn't cost anything. So you can place all the orders you want. If you anticipate that the price is going to drop, it will reach a level where you are interested in buying. And if it's selling, then sell. And then there's the market option, which means you buy at the moment. That is, you buy now at the current price. And that's the commission difference I was mentioning, that I mentioned earlier. So you click on market and you see that here the price is changing in real time. Why? Because you are buying in real time. So this little green bar down here also allows you to, instead of typing the amount yourself, if you want to say, hey, I'm going to buy 50% of the money I have. Well, you set it to 50 here, and it would mark the amount at 50%. Since this is in euros, it's not the EURC pair, but rather the simple euro pair, and I'm here in the euro Cardano pair. That's why it doesn't show up. But if I put the EURC pair, it appears, okay? And then you have the order book here and the history of all the orders and transactions you have made. So, well, I'm not going to open it because my transactions appear there, and there's no need for you to see them. But anyway, I only buy what I can, as everyone does. And, well, this is a bit about the platform. I would say, well, go ahead and tinker with it. If you enter P2M here, you obviously have the pair with Euro. You also have it with USDC, and you can use it exactly the same way. You can trade without any problem. And, well, place your buy and sell orders. Try with small amounts if you've never used it before. And then you should know that, as Giovanni mentioned, it has a much tighter, much smaller spread. Therefore, I believe that Bit2Me Pro.
In addition to that, as I mentioned, through the Space Center loyalty program, up to a 50% discount on fees, even more. And in the wallet, although it has a different cost, they have a discount of up to 100% on fees, just as I mentioned. Now, Javi, I'm going to give a relatively quick response to Carlos. Carlos tells us, Bocanegra says, the TAP report does not take into account, does not consider the fit to determine the capital gains, which means the capital gain is higher than the actual one. The fit are not deducted. Now, the answer is that the other day they gave it to me in the fiscal report of Bit2Me Stat. The fees are indeed included in the calculation of gains or losses. They do not appear as a separate field that must be filled in manually because they are already correctly applied within each transaction. In purchases, the commission increases the acquisition value. In sales or exchanges, the commission reduces the transition value, even if you see a section called non-deductible expenses. In the report, it only means that they are not presented as a general expense, but have been applied within each transaction following the tax regulations. So basically everything is explained and adapted precisely as we said for this year.
Okay, well, great. Well, this is a bit about the platform. If you have any questions anyway, leave them in the comments and we will be happy to respond and encourage you to use it. Aurélie mentioned that he doesn't see the difference with the scheduled operation. There is a difference, Aurélie, because you can make a purchase, as we have seen, at market at the current price, or you can set a scheduled purchase at the price you would like to try to buy or sell. And then the stop limit is that your order gets activated if the price goes through a certain value that you believe it will reach, and you want it to activate only if the price goes through that price. And that's a bit more complicated, but, well, as I said, that's for...
No less important, as you said, it's a bit more complicated. Also, from the same place, you can do precisely that. You can create buy and sell orders that are executed at market. That is, you can schedule a buy and sell order. You can make recurring purchases or directly make a direct purchase on the market. That is, we have both possibilities.
Jose, I'm going to take the screen away from you. Sorry, Giovanni.
Go ahead.
I'm taking the screen away from you, okay? All right, I'm going with that. Just in case, so it doesn't get out of alignment there. There we are.
Okay.
Giovanni, we're running out of time, man. You get carried away, and we've already been at it for almost an hour.
But you know it's important because as much as possible in these live sessions, we do everything we can to respond to the users and detail each point as much as possible. So thanks for the questions they've asked. Let's try to continue with the outline.
Go ahead, man. Yes, we're sticking to the outline. Then you can't blame me. Come on, go ahead. I think it's better this way. Redesigns. What do we have? Talk about the... And about the referral system, sorry. Referral system, yes.
It's going very well.
Well, go ahead, Giovanni. I need to drink some water.
Well, the topic of referrals, we have new things. Really now, even as you already know, the topic of referrals has now increased. We initially had it for the variable system up to 1 year. Now we have it up to 3 years. That said, we have two different options. There's the option of a fixed referral, meaning both earn a fixed amount, whatever it may be. We even tend to run quite a few promotions, which currently I think are at 5 or 10 euros, sometimes 20 euro. Stay alert, because each promotion always specifies something. As a general rule, for example, say only purchases, sales, and exchanges in the purchase, the exchange in the wallet are valid. Agreed? Unless each promotion specifies whether it is possible or not. As I said, we also have the variable option where, apart from that, in the first 100 euro that are purchased, which can be accumulated, until reaching 100 euro, the person who was referred receives 5 EU, and then you, as the person who refers, will receive a proportional part of the commissions made in the wallet. All right, the same, unless at some point the promotion states otherwise that it is valid to use or advanced trading, as we refer to.
Then also, very well, yes, receive. Do not pay.
Then we also have new ways to follow the market. In fact, now to precisely visualize the price topic, with the app always updated to the latest version, we now have, among other things, a little fire symbol that appears. Basically, it says that it highlights, it automatically highlights the cryptocurrencies that are trending. Then we also have the possibility that on the same price screen, we can easily see the collections, the themes we have, and a bit of the market. What Javi tells us at the beginning, he tells us how Bitcoin is doing, how the market is in general. Well, now through the Bit2Me News tab directly in prices, we can see it. So precisely to make better informed decisions. On the other hand, not less important, we have also been advancing the topic of all your cashbacks in one place. Now it is even more convenient. Until recently, for example, now we can perfectly see the type of purchase we have made with Bit2Me card. The exact price at which we paid the merchant appears, the cashback we received, the commission, the operation cost that it entailed, the 0.95%. Even as you will see later, I invite you to try it out, which is, for example, now when you click on the activity section, you click on the cashback you have received or the purchase you have made, it directly takes you to the details. That was something we didn't have fully designed. We have been improving based on all the feedback you always give us. So thank you very much for the feedback you give us. Then also, as we usually announce, in the updates meetings, we have Sora landing in Bit2Me wallet. As we often add, many cryptocurrencies, it's already...
This one, I've seen Giovanni, the one about Sora. Let's see, I always, even though I'm very pro Bitcoin, I delve a bit to see what the cryptocurrency scene is about. The one about Quantum is a tokenization project. Okay, the new currency, Quantos, and Sora is about social networks and NFTs. Okay, no, I haven't delved deeply either, but just to give a bit of information about what it's about, what the story is a bit about.
In fact, the two new ones entering Wallet and Pro, which are USDQ and AURQ, are precisely stable coins issued by Quaptex, a European issuer committed to regulatory transfer with MiCA. I can see where you're going. Then XRP, which you also referenced, now we have it in ER, where we currently have up to 1% available to receive.
I know there are many XRP lovers, within the Bit2Me community. And look, having staking there, well, hey, I don't know what it's offering. I'm going to check it out. You go on, I'm going to check it out.
The staking, the 1%.
The XRP?
Yes, in ER, where they were asking us how it worked, but we'll explain it later. There won't be networks for deposit and sending. I'll leave that to you because you remember we see 40 new networks. Do you want to do them one by one? What? Do you remember?
No, because it would be like a tongue twister. It would be like a tongue twister, but it's true that the little dot appears. When there's an update, remember that all the new tools, whether they are new coins or new deposits, they appear there with a little dot. So, well, if anyone wants to see if their coin is already available to receive, great, right?
And as always...
But we're not going to mention them all. There are many.
No. And as always, we don't stop. We have been present at many events, and we will be at some the exchange of this month. Here, it's true.
Jose is telling us that we also have the issue of the exchange. Do you remember that Neil came with the new tool that is being developed for B2M? Of those 5 billion units of B2M that exist, what Neil said is, hey, well, the development team, led by Neil with B2M, said like, hey, why don't we use or give users the option to use part of the B2M just once, okay? Take them out of those 5 billion units and exchange them for points forever in the Space Center. So, well, that's...
Yes, they are. In fact, that's it. The B2M exchanges, as it refers to precisely, allow us to have some extra points of this points that do not expire, right? Which is also important. Many users are already starting to use it to, let's say, shield that optimal level for each user. That mechanism is based on the key principle of the industry, which is token burning. When B2M is exchanged, they are sent to an inaccessible blockchain address, then permanently removing them from the market, mainly contributing to the token's scarcity. Everything we do, as we always do, we go hand in hand with regulators and others. That said, someone asked us a while ago, I don't have the name right now, about when these burns were going to happen, which were going to be announced monthly. We don't have a specific date. We are creating that pool. Once those B2M are exchanged, they can be considered out of the market. The burning itself is done afterwards. Normally, we are not going to announce it as such. You will simply see it reflected in both in the B2M analysis. As you know, we have a new tab on the left side where we can see the numbers of B2M, the B2M that are exchanged, the blocked ones, those in circulation, and those that have already been burned. So that's it. Keep an eye on them, but we don't have a date. It is planned to be once a month. Okay?
Manolo Fraile comments that he has asked several questions about B2M, and if we have them saved, he will ask them again. No, we are not going to answer them today, Manolo, but we would suggest you leave them in the comments section of the video at the bottom, or directly in the B2M Telegram group, where the community is, and where many of the Bit2mers are as well.
Having said that, we keep them, because many of those questions we save, we pass them to our colleague Neil, and when he comes to do that analysis, the numbers we answer many of the frequently asked questions, okay? Or into questions that for some reason at this moment we haven't been able to address.
Indeed. And Jose, no, we can complicate things more. We have the events. We have the events of this month. We have been, the team at the Paris Blockchain Week, right? Which is an event, one of the most important ones, held here in Europe. And, our colleague Abel Peña was there, Gabriel. There's a lot of contact with the banking sector, so they are accelerating, aren't they, that process. Obviously, they send people who are more political than I am. I'm a bit more old school in all this story. And then, also last month, you know that the Argentina merge was there, where our colleague Jose Luis was present. We have also been in the...
No, not less important, Javi, in Argentina, but we were talking about education and what you would like, for example, for us to educate. There has been a collaboration with the Bitcoin NGO in Argentina precisely to spread and provide that training to many of the users.
Totally. Then we have also been in Asia, there, in the Middle East, in Dubai, with Token 2049, which is one of the biggest events in the world, attended by key figures. So we are expanding, right? The international reach. I think the trigger, Giovanni, we are eager. I was talking about it the other day with the legal team. The issue of the license. The license is going to be a before and after for Bit2Me, for the community, and for Rico, for a bit of the approach that banks have had during all these months to finally say, hey, let's make agreements, let's do integrations, and let cryptocurrencies start reaching more places, more users, and let people know more about it, right? And obviously, the whole ecosystem and the platform. And that's what we're doing, going to all these events. This week, we have the Open Expo, which is on Wednesday and Thursday at La Nave in Madrid, where we will be there.
Yes, correct.
Meta World Congress.
Correct, that's right.
Also, this event is called Open Expo Meta World Congress 2025. And next month, in June, on the weekend of the 6th, 7th, and 8th, we have the Madrid Economic Forum, organized by Wall Street Wolverine. And there will be Daniel Lacal, Juan Ramon Rallo, Mario Conde. It has a very large political, ideological content. And what we are going to try is to fit Bitcoin in. We are sponsors of the Bit2Me event at the Vista Alegre Palace, Dian, right? Which has gigantic screens. And we are going to try to reach more people, no? Right? Because it's one of the things, one of the missions we have at Bit2Me is not just to make agreements with a YouTube channel or with no. It's that the world of influencers or people who have a voice, an authority, starts to see Bitcoin within their discourse as a tool and as a solution to everything that's happening beyond investment, because I think it's a bit pigeonholed into something very techie and geeky or something very investment focused. I think we need to give it that philosophical and political component, right? And reach influencers who have a huge reach. So we will be at the Madrid Economic Forum, June 6th, 7th, and 8th.
This week on the 7th and 8th, we will be at Meta at the Madrid venue. We will meet with some of you. We hope that many of you from the community will be there. We always have some kind of token for the Bit2Me holders whenever possible. We also have another event coming up very soon that we do in person in collaboration with the Super Pioneers community, which is on May 22nd. Stay tuned. Sometimes we have the opportunity to give away in raffle tickets to offer discounts. So keep an eye out for that. Not less important, and we can't leave without mentioning it. We currently have the Bit2Me Holder Week active, which is for everyone. This time there are no prerequisites. That is, you can use it with Bit2Me Pro. All right. How are we going to participate in the Bit2Me Holder Week? We register on the promotions webpage. Even in the promotion section, we can also go to the section and use the code Bit2MPROG before trading. Trade between April 30th and May 14th in the Bit2Me Euro or Bit2Me USDC pairs. And we refund the fees for the next 30 days starting from May 15th. The refunds will have a minimum of €1 and a maximum of €10. And only the fees purchased of Bit2Me will be refunded. The destination of the transaction is Bit2Me. And so once again, take the opportunity to get to know a bit about the advanced trading we have and understand the differences between wallet and pro. Agreed? So not much more. I think, Javi, that we've adjusted everything we could.
Well done, Giovanni. Well done. Edu Crypto Eco is asking when we are going to Barcelona. Well, yes, the truth is we are quite eager here in Madrid. We have done...
Stay tuned, because something is happening in Barcelona. So I repeat again about the community points of stay tuned as we are moving through different cities. And the possibility of going to Barcelona has already been considered. I don't have dates yet, but stay tuned in the Telegram group where we will be announcing it. Leave it here in the comments if we have the possibility to respond.
Well, Giovanni, let me ask for a like, as it always helps us, and we greatly appreciate your company. We hope you had a good time, that you also found this content entertaining with this current news, and that we see each other soon at one of these events. If not next month, we will be at Bit2Me Live. Thank you again for the live session to everyone, Selvi, Javier, Edu, Manolo, all the comments that are always constructive and help us improve. And to you, Giovanni, and also a big thank you to Jose for being there as we drive him crazy, and he has to put up with us. But, well, it is what it is.
The truth is that he does it really well. Thank you, Jose, truly, because we jump from one thing to another, because we focus too many times on the community to respond to everyone. And as we were saying, those things we haven't answered now, we sometimes leave them precisely for the special of Bit2Me with him. Because who better than him to answer us? So thank you for being here, and that like is greatly appreciated.
All right, well, a hug to everyone, and see you next time. Bye-bye.